Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances, all viewers, Sri Rupa. So today we'll continue to hear the instructions that Sri Narada Muni gave to Vasudev in writing Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so who's that? Vidya Mataji today, I think. Vidya Mataji, when are you ready? You can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Muriraye Nasta Preshya Pareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Nasteki. Today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Narada Instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva, Text 11. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Text 12. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What, then, is the use of fruitive activities, which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized by the devotional service of the Lord? Text 13. O Vyasadeva, your vision is completely perfect. Your good fame is spotless. You are firm in vow and situated in truthfulness, and thus you can think of the pastimes of the Lord in trance for the liberation of the people in general and from all material bondage. 14. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Text 15. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instructions, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. Text 16. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not as well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through descriptions of the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Text 17. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Text 18. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. Text 19. My dear Vyasa, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes fall down somehow or other, He certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. Text 20. The Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, is himself this cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. From him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and unto him it enters after annihilation. Your good self knows all about this, and I have given only a synopsis. Text 21. Your goodness has perfect vision. You yourself can know the super soul personality of Godhead because you are present as the plenary portion of the Lord. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please, therefore, describe the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, more vividly. Text 22. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Text 23. O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maidservant engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. Text 24. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. Text 25. Only once, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Text 26. O Vyasadeva, in that association, and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step. Text 27. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted grass and subtle coverings. And for both the Lord and I are transcendental. Text 28. Thus during 2 seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear those great-souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Text 29. I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Text 30. As they were leaving, those Bhaktivedantas, who are very kind to poor-hearted souls, I instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead himself. Text 31. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Shri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. Text 32. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mati. Hare Krishna. So the context we are in is that Sudha Goswami is describing on the question from sages of Naimisaranya about how, in what circumstances Srimad Bhagavatam came about, and in what circumstances Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the question he's answering. And we heard about in the last session how Narada Muni appeared before him. And just by his appearance, before even he opened his mouth, before he talked anything, actually, as they've already realized that, oh, I did not glorify Krishna sufficiently like that, or I did not glorify devotion service sufficiently like that, he realized. So, going to the verses from today, let me see, 11th verse, right? Okay, from 11th verse. So, just before this verse, the 10th verse, this whole section is being describing about Vyasdeva. He started to describe to Narada Muni how he should describe the transcendental glories of the Lord like that. That means he needs to glorify the Supreme Lord Krishna. Remember the two defects he mentioned were that he did not sufficiently glorify Krishna, number one. And number two, he gave overemphasis to Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha like that. So in relation to the glorification of Krishna like that. So now he in the just before this verse, in the 10th verse, he talked about how material mundane literature is like a pilgrimage of place of pilgrimage for crows like that, like trash like that he compared. And then saintly persons don't go for that literature like that is described. Now in this verse, 11th verse, is describing the opposite. Instead of material literature, Vyasdeva is describing, Narada is describing transcendental literature. So he's saying that transcendental literature is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of Krishna, his name, fame, forms, pastimes like that, and that can bring about revolution in the misdirected civilization currently. And then, even though it is incorrectly composed, imperfectly composed, or not properly heard, not properly sung, still mm, it's accepted by purified men, saintly persons like that. So even if there are some mistakes, saintly person accepts the essence from it. The purport has some beautiful points. One is that Prabhupada is emphasizing the point. The last point in the verse is emphasizing first, which is saintly person take the best from everywhere. Even if somebody or some place where everything is filthy, they take the essence of that place and what is the good things. So they can observe what is good instead of just focusing on what is bad or what is faulty like that. So similarly, if the transcendental literature has some small spelling mistake somewhere or some small discrepancy somewhere, still they accept the essence from that like that. So that is one point Prabhupada is mentioning. Second point Prabhupada is mentioning is uh, we people from India especially have the responsibility to broadcast this best transcendental message, Srimad Bhagavatam, for benefit of everybody, so that real peace will come in the world, so that everybody can become happy like that. So Prabhupada is emphasizing in this purport that somebody may say, "Oh, who will accept this message? Is is last time? Lot of people are focused on different things. How can we help them?" Prabhupada is emphasizing that even if leading people, few people take up this Krishna consciousness nicely, the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the whole world can become a nice place and peaceful place like that. And then another message is giving the purport. Yeah, okay. So the main point is Srimad Bhagavatam is a spiritual science that gives us spiritual values. So it gives the techniques. So even if language sometimes falters, sometimes because of the translations or something, but the techniques are the most important things. So there'll be success nevertheless, like that is describing. And then people have this tendency to read something new always. I don't know what is new, something I don't know like that. So Srimad Bhagavatam can attract that minds of people with new information, and also it can purify their corrupt minds uh, who are anchoring for interesting literature like that. That's why initially people may not have interest in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada compares to people with jaundice, they don't like sugar candy because it tastes bitter. But sugar candy is the medicine for them. By eating sugar candy more and more, the jaundice goes away and they'll taste the sweetness of sugar. Similarly, initially they may not be able to taste much, but as they start reading Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, they'll develop that taste and relish for the taste of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then they'll go forward like that. Prabhupada is describing. Now, in the next set of verses, um, how Vasudeva is emphasizing the point that bhakti is the real only valuable asset, not the fruitive activity, not the gnana activities, not the yoga activities like that. So basically, bhakti is the main valuable asset, like that is describing. So in the 12th verse, he says, uh, yeah, purport is beautiful actually. He says that previously 10th verse is he condemned already the the futility of the materialistic literature, how they're like trash, like that is described, is not helpful for us. Then now transcendental literatures are very valuable. So that means, so let us say somebody has Vedic literature, but that is not emphasizing bhakti. That is emphasizing only going to Brahmajyoti like that. Then that is also not so valuable. Similarly, speculative knowledge and Brahmajyoti also is not so valuable. But but if there's a literature that describes the glories of bhakti, that is the best. Like that, this verse is emphasizing for us. So even if Vedic literature are, if they are not glorifying bhakti or useless, then what to speak about Gnana literature, which is only talking about impersonal Brahmajyoti, or what to speak about fruity work related literature, like that is describing. Now, in the 13th verse, Narada Muni is encouraging Vasudev, like you are a perfect, qualified author, transcendental author, like that. He's saying your vision is completely perfect, your good fame is spotless, your form in woe and seated in truthfulness. So now he gives the direct instruction what to do. He says, think of God in trance, and why you should do that. So that way you can give literature that is helpful for all the people in general, so they can become liberated from material bondage, like that he says. This purport also is nice. Prabhupada writes how people are generally interested in reading something. So, so generally materialists are utilizing that to direct them to wrong literatures, and that will only satisfy the material senses. So instead, the advice Narada Muni is giving is to Vasudev to compose transcendental literature, which is not only attractive, uh, Mandarin literature is attractive, but it's not helpful for ultimate goal. Whereas he wants him to write literature that's attractive also and helps them to go towards the ultimate goal, to get attracted to Krishna and bhakti and practice bhakti like that. And it will give liberation from bondage also. So, yeah. So another point Prabhupada writes is, Vasudeva and his representatives are pure in heart and they have the motivation to help people in general. Uh, so, and then he says, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are specifically meant to uh, uh, for people to get the ultimate goal, liberation from the material bondage, like that. And then he says the Bhagavatam descriptions are so precise and accurate that whatever predictions are made for future, they all came true also. Like for example commonly given is Buddha. Example commonly given is how baby is born, uh, the distance between the sun and the earth, like that. And then he says a liberated person, uh, what to speak of incarnation of Supreme Lord Vasudeva, is perfect. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam is also perfect description of all perfect Krishna and written by all perfect Vasudeva. Like that is described, Prabhupada is describing. Now, text 14 describes how, yeah, he's basically saying that whatever you described earlier, that's not connected to the Lord. They are actually insubstantial or useless, like that. They're only agitating the mind of the person who's reading, like that is describing. Specifically is referring to Vasudeva gave a path of fruitive activity or karma yoga, path of gnana, path of yoga, and then worship of demigods indicated like that. So it's basically saying that you should not have emphasized those things that are not related to Krishna, because people are naturally inclined towards the enjoyment that will come in the next verse also. So you should not have diverted their attention to these things also, like that he is telling Nardamani. Now he's saying more strong criticism in text 15. He says people are naturally inclined to enjoy senses. Now what do? You made it bona fide. Okay, now you follow Vedic regulations and you get enjoyment like that. So that's not the best thing for them. He's saying Nardamani. Why he's saying? Because sense enjoyment will come naturally, whether you want it or not. Happiness will come, misery will come in life based on the past, whatever we done in the past, like that, right? So they will come already. So just by encouraging them sense gratification, they will only take those portion of the Vedas that are telling you do this, you get that. They don't follow the regulations or prohibitions that are mentioned in the Vedas, like that is mentioning Narada Muni. So for one example given in the purport is that um, people started using Vedas to kill animals and eat meat, like that. So that's why Buddha's incarnation came to say, don't forget about Vedas, don't eat meat, don't cut animals, like that. So that's an example given like that. And that's a prediction in Bhagavatam ahead of time. Then, so basically he says, don't focus on anything else, just give the right thing. For example, let us say a patient comes to a doctor. This is a nice example in the purport. A patient comes to a doctor. He's not supposed to use some particular type of foods, for example, fried foods, for example. Then, but the patient loves the fried foods. Doctor will not say, oh, because you love fried foods, okay, eat some fried foods also. He doesn't give some concession like that, especially if it's in a serious situation for a disease, for example, like that, right? So then, similarly, he's saying, don't give them, okay, enjoy some, like that. That will not help. Instead, focus on direct principles of devotional service, which are encouraging in detachment and renunciation, like that. Now, text 16, yeah, this is the detachment portion is emphasized here in this verse. He says, oh, only if you're detached from material sense gratification and you're not looking after material happiness, my focus is all about material happiness, then I cannot understand spiritual knowledge properly. But if I'm little bit detached from material happiness, then I can understand spiritual happiness properly. That is one point he's making. So then, for those people who are little bit detached, then you should show them the ways of transcendental realization by giving them Krishna Kada. Like that is describing Nardamani. So this is important principle for us also as practicing devotees. If you're going after sense gratification more and more, then it's very hard for us to progress in spiritual life. So we need to have some regulation in sense gratification. So that is the solution is giving. Now text 1719, it says, even if somebody is not able to do perfectly everything, all the material duties they're supposed to do, but if they take up bhakti, still it's the best, even if they don't fully complete their bhakti in this life. Like that is describing in next few verses. So basically, this is similar to the verse that we hear in Bhagavad Gita. How there is no loss, even if we don't perfect our life fully, like that. So uh, any little progress also is beneficial, like that. He's saying same thing. Even if somebody is not able to do all the material duties properly, even if they do bhakti, but then because of some bad association, some weakness of heart, they fall down. Still, there's no danger because they'll start from there and next life in bhakti, like that. In the next verse, text 18. So he's saying bhakti is the rarest thing we can achieve. And human form of life should not be wasted for something else, some minute happiness here and there. Because we might go to, let us say we go to Swargaloka or higher planets and enjoy for a long time. But what is the use? We'll fall down only. So the purport is emphasizing those two things, that happiness we get is temporary in this material world. And then and that means, so we should not aim for happiness in a higher next birth, better life in the material world, or a better higher planet in the material world, better happiness, material happiness, like that. Instead, aim for the ultimate goal, which is permanently being happy in the spiritual world, like that. And then another point being made here is like how we get misery is even if we don't want it, happiness also will come some quota. So we don't have to endeavor extra to get so too much happiness, material happiness like that. So in course of time, it will come. So focus on spiritual cultivation basically. Text 19 is saying results of bhakti are permanent. So even though devotee may sometimes fall down, he does not undergo reactions of karma like the fruity workers like that, because they are under protection of Krishna, and Krishna uses whatever little bit of bad karma we have to rectify us so that we can grow in bhakti only. That's the important principle made here like that. So, so just focus on bhakti instead of trying to do this, trying to do that like that. Now text 20. Oh, wait a minute, my page went away. Yeah, text 20 onwards, Narada Muni instructs him how Lord is himself the universe and is separate from it also, even though he creates, maintains, and regulates the universe. So he says, describes the pastime of Krishna more vividly, very clearly, like that. Because you have perfect vision, you know the Lord is, you're actually plenary portion of the Lord himself, and you appeared for the well-being of all people like that. So describe Krishna Kada is basically talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he says, um, actually, conclusion of all learned circles is this, that um, glorifying the qualities of the Lord is the best thing we can do in this life. Like that is discussed. Not the charity, not the chanting of Vedic hymns, not the sacrifice like that. Glorifying the qualities of the Lord is the best. So um, now he said in this set of verses, so many verses, what is not the main message he gave? That pure bhakti is the best. And glorify bhakti, glorify Krishna. That means right Krishna Katha, like that he described now. So now Narada Muni starts to describe his own life. Why? He wants to emphasize that actually pure bhakti comes only because of mercy of devotees, not because of austerity, not because of any other process that we do. Only because of mercy of bhakti, mercy of devotees like that. Only to devotees mercy we can get bhakti. So to narrate that is giving the example of his own life. This is beautiful. And while hearing the example of Narada Muni, we can see different stages of bhakti. How Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anadarviti, Nishta, Asakti, Ruchi, Bhava, Prema, like that we described, right? 77 stages. And also, Vishnu Chikur Thakur describes this in the 14 stages also. Same 47 expands into 2 like that. So, what is described here is, in the purport, Prabhupada gives some information. Actually, in the 7th canto, Prabhupada describes the Narada's previous life. Narada in the previous life was a Gandharva by name Upabarhana. And he went to Harinam Sankirtan. During Harinam Sankirtan, he was glorifying, he was singing mundane songs, it seems, glorifying women. So, at that time, the Prajapatis did not like that attitude that when they're glorifying Krishna, he's glorifying some mundane people. So they cursed him to become a Sudra, born to a maid servant like that. That is the background. So now the emphasis is, but even though he was cursed like that, by serving the devotees, highest devotees in this life, he achieved the highest position. He became son of Lord Brahma and became a greatest devotee. That is what will come out of this section for us. So in this verse, what is being described? He was born as a son of a maid servant, and he was engaged in the service of Bhakti Vedantas, who came for the Chaturmasa, 4 months of the rainy season. They came and waited, they came and stayed at their place. So he got an opportunity to serve them. This is important because we can serve the devotees only when they give mercy, only when they give opportunity to serve. If they don't give opportunity to serve, we cannot serve them. So that is the beauty. That's how bhakti starts. Bhakti starts when great devotees, pure devotees especially, give us an opportunity to serve them. Then when we serve them, then we get them further mercy from them, like that. And when we get mercy from them, Narada Muni, what happened to him? He developed very, very good qualities because of their mercy. Not because he had good qualities, he got the mercy. First, he got the mercy. Because of that, he got great qualities. And because he got great qualities, and he got got further mercy from devotees, like that is described. That was in 24th verse. Then, because of the mercy and because of the great qualities he developed, he got further mercy. Then he one time asked their permission and he took their Mahaprasadam, whatever the remnants of their food, like that. Normally, remnants of everybody else is considered mode of ignorance, but ignorance of great devotees is considered as mercy. So he took the remnants Mahaprasadam from their devotees, and he also heard the Krishna Katha while they're discussing Krishna Katha. Just by staying in presence of devotees is a benefit. Whatever they're talking, we get to listen. Even if we were not talking, we can listen and get the mercy of Krishna Katha, get the purification of Krishna Katha, like that. So by hearing from them and by accepting remnants from them and by doing some service from them, menial service to them, his devotion increased step by step, by step, like that. He actually developed attraction to hearing Krishna Katha. He developed attraction to the Supreme Lord, and is described. Yeah, if you notice in 26th verse, he says, only because of their mercy, his attention in hearing also increased for Krishna Katha, like that. So that's the beauty of devotee association. And then he developed attraction towards Krishna, bhava towards Krishna also. And then as the attraction increased, slowly he went to the prema stage of bhakti is described. So now is one thing described in the 27th verse purport is that as he developed in bhakti, two things happen. External senses, body wise, he is not engaging in material sense gratification anymore. He's engaged in the external senses in Krishna's bhakti, Krishna's service, like that. Number one. Number two, internally, he developed taste in hearing Krishna's qualities and hearing about Krishna's form. So he stopped mentally thinking about selfish desires, how I can enjoy this, how can I enjoy this. Even mentally also, he got away from that. How did that happen? By developing positive attachment to Krishna. How did that happen? By the mercy of devotees and through Krishna Katha and through seva to them. So the last verse for today, I think we're doing to 31st, I think, right? 31st, 32. Okay. So the sages bestowed confidential knowledge on Narada Muni, it seems. That way, how did that happen? When we are humbly disposed in service mode towards the devotees, then they give the essential things that we need, whether it's good qualities or essential knowledge and realizations they'll share, so we can grow in bhakti fully. And 32 verse describes that best remedial measure for all miseries that we're going through is to dedicate our activities in Krishna's service. By engaging always in Krishna's service, that is the best thing we can do to get out of all kinds of miseries, like that. That's the last verse for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kupasindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.